this is what I'm talking about. So Train Dreams is based on a novella of the same name by Dennis Johnson, and it tells the story of Robert Granier, a logger and railroad worker who leads a life of unexpected depth and beauty in the rapidly changing America of the early 20th century. And this film definitely has a lot of components of a novella. It's fairly brief, about 90 minutes plus credits, and it tells the story of Robert's life from a very young age to a very old age. It enlists voiceover narration to convey some of the plot elements, which definitely make it feel very literary. And in just 90 minutes, this film seeks to weave a very complex tapestry of love and loss, regret and shame, and the meaning of life. There were a lot of factors contributing to my excitement for this movie, one of which is that it's just my kind of film. If you look at the past 5 years, some of the movies that have resonated with me the most are The Power of the Dog and The Zone of Interest, Killers of the Flower Moon, films largely set in the 19th or 20th century, made for adults that feel very immersive in a time and place and complex in their themes. But in addition to that, this film is written and directed by the duo who made last year's Sing Sing starring Coleman Domingo, which was one of my favorite movies of the entire year. Greg Quidar and Clint Bentley worked on that film, and now they've made this one, this time with Clint Bentley behind the camera. And finally, the cast features Felicity Jones and Joel Edgerton, and either of them are enough to get me excited about a movie. And Train Dreams delivered on every level for me. I think this movie is a resounding achievement. Clint Bentley has skyrocketed to the top of my list of most exciting new filmmakers. This is only his second feature, and the assurance that he has behind the camera and the way that he selects his shots and captures them so distinctly and creatively, constantly finding the best way to take snapshots of this man's life over the course of decades, is so compelling. I felt like I was in such good hands with this guy behind the camera, and he's rendered this world in a way that feels so tactile and lived in. I felt like I could reach out and touch the events that were happening on screen. This character, like I said, works in timber as well as on railroads, and these very demanding jobs were brought to the screen so convincingly. You can see sawdust in the air and dirt swirling around, and you just feel like these characters are breathing it in for the entire movie. It felt very grimy and dirty, and it definitely sold the durability that people had to have living back then. They had to not only be parents and home builders, they had to have something to bring home the bacon. And you really get to see that they had to wear so many hats to make things work. Voiceover narration is something that I'm very wary of. Sometimes I feel that filmmakers lean on it way too heavily. When they can't find a way to express something visually, they'll just slap some voiceover on it to tell you what you need to know. And that was not my experience here. Like I said, this feels like a novella. And the way that the narration is used, it feels like it falls in a very rich tradition of spoken word storytelling with all the bells and whistles that we have in the 2025 cinematic landscape. There's some critical information given to you via some really good narration from Will Patton, but at the same time, all the dots are being connected by incredible visual storytelling. The themes are not conveyed by way of narration. They're in the DNA of this film through wonderful filmmaking and extremely compelling performances. Joel Edgerton is someone who is not an A-lister like Leonardo DiCaprio or Christian Bale, but when I see that he is starring in a movie, I am just as trusting as if it were Leo or Christian Bale. I think he always turns in great work, and this is some of his finest acting. He's a man of few words, kind of a stoic, strong and silent type. When he talks, you know it's something that is really on his heart, that he's very carefully decided on. But in between, the connective tissue of this performance relies on him emoting through his eyes and through his body language, and he does this so convincingly throughout. I really do think this is an Oscar-worthy performance, and I hope he's nominated. Felicity Jones is similarly a wonderful actress who's constantly turning in great performances, and she's excellent here as well. These are two performers who I think are very humble. They consistently check their baggage at the door and submit themselves to the role. They're willing to entirely disappear within the character, and they're not really trying to bring their own flair to it, which I love. They're interested in embodying these characters, and they do it extremely well. And that could be something that's honestly keeping them from being A-list actors, because every time they're on screen, they're chameleons. They're completely vanishing into these roles and not trying to bring any of their own identity to it. William H. Macy is also in the film in a very limited role. He's probably on screen for 8 to 10 minutes or so, but I think his impact on the experience is vast. He is so funny and heartfelt in this movie. And from the first second he's on screen, you just buy this guy as someone who's been around for years and years and years, who doesn't take any nonsense from anyone, but who's also developed a deep appreciation for the value in life. At a certain point in the film, the pacing slows down a bit, and for a movie that's very deliberate in its storytelling from the jump, I can definitely see mileage varying for certain viewers. But we reach a time in Robert's life where he's no longer building a life. He's more reflecting and ruminating on the years gone by. And I thought that the way that this movie captured it was so mature and thoughtful. It's honestly shocking that such a young filmmaker is behind the camera here. But I found the change of pace very fitting for what the movie was conveying to us. If you can't tell, I absolutely love this movie from start to finish. And honestly, at about an hour in, I started to get very sad that I was over halfway done, because this just feels like the kind of movie that only comes along every once in a while, and I was trying to savor every minute of it. Fortunately, I do feel that years down the road and many, many rewatches in, I will still be uncovering new themes, and it'll be taking on new meaning to me as I enter new stages of life. It's such an emotionally and intellectually compelling film that's all just captured so wonderfully. The editing and the score in this movie both stuck out to me throughout. It's so seamlessly edited together. Although it takes place over the course of years and years, it felt so organically stitched together, and I never felt the cuts. They were just seamlessly embedded into the film in a way that felt very much like a Terrence Malick movie. Although I can see this movie being overly compared to Malick's filmmaking, and it definitely has its own identity. This is a Clint Bentley movie. I love this movie so much, and Train Dreams is going to get an A. It's available on Netflix starting today, and you must watch it. If you are a movie lover, this is one of the essential viewing experiences of 2025. And I just can't recommend it any more highly. If you have seen it, please let me know what you thought of it. If you enjoyed this video, please do like and subscribe, and I'll see you at the movies.